Welcome to Widowed Too Soon, where real-life widows and widowers come together to share their stories of survival, faith, and the journey of finding hope in the darkest of times. Whether you're newly widowed or have been on this journey for some time, each week we're here to provide you with inspiration, practical advice, and the reassurance that you are not alone. You were made to not only survive, but thrive. And now here's your host, a woman who has walked this path herself, who finds solace in writing, joy in speaking, and freedom in dancing like nobody's watching. Michelle Bader-Eversole.
Welcome to Widowed Too Soon. This is Michelle Bader-Eversole. I'm excited to be coming back with another guest, which we're going to get into. I just wanted to share a couple exciting things. If you have not registered for the retreat, if you're a woman, sorry, men, this one is not for you. I've had a lot of men asking me, and so I tell them to look up refugee widowers because I believe they have something. But this one's just for women. We have 30 people registered, and that's within like 5 days of opening it up. Just to give you some frame of mind, last year we had 10. The year before we had 20. So we're going to be going to between 60 and 100. Like, I think we'll end at like 80. I don't know. So there's probably going to be a waiting list and everything. So anyways, if you are interested, it's January 22nd through 25th, Dallas, Fort Worth area. And it's super reasonably priced. That was very important to me. So if you want to share a room, $450, and that includes 8 meals and 3-night stay. And if you're like, I want a single room, which actually a lot of people are saying that, it's $650. If you're someone who like really wants to be there, but you can't make it financially, please send me an email, michelle@widowgoals.org. We do have a few scholarships available, and I think we're going to be getting more. So don't let price stop you. I want everybody who can be there to be there. Some other cool things that are happening. So a few months ago, I was asked to do an interview with a radio station. So, well, it didn't just like come out of thin air. I actually sent a press release to every single radio station everywhere around me about my book. And so they wrote back to me and said, we think we have a show that you would be great on. So it's called The Women's Mosaic. It's about women in the community doing things. So that just aired, and that was really fun. So that's on my Facebook page if you want to see that. And then yesterday, I got asked to be interviewed by a local paper. I'm actually doing that right after this episode. To talk about this grief class I'm going to be running at a senior center. And then he wants to talk about my book and my podcast and my nonprofit and all that stuff. So kind of fun. So I just wanted to share that. But you guys just got an episode from me a few weeks ago with just me talking. So we're going to get right into it. So I'm sitting down today with Natalie Polutta. How are you, Natalie?
I'm doing well. How are you, Michelle?
I am good. And just remind me, because I talked to so many people, where do you live? I don't remember.
North of Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, okay. Out there. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how we're going to talk about the connection. That's how you know Angela Heights, because she was out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes. And is she the one that introduced you to the podcast and everything?
Yes. Actually, she's in another widows group. And I guess when she did her interview with you, she posted it in our group. And so I listened to hers. Was the first one I listened to. I had not
that's so cool.
Had not heard of you yet. So that is.
And did you guys then meet in person? Like, have you guys?
We have met. Yes, we have met in person.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Angela. Love Angela. She's come to our retreats and just it's been great.
Yeah,
I'm hoping she'll be at this next one too. So I was wondering, how you found us. Okay, so we're going to dive right into your story. You've got so many great things to share. So let's back it way back. This is like kind of my favorite part. I love hearing people's love stories, and it's so healing for us to share them, even though there are it's painful too, but it's also so beautiful. So I'd love to hear. Tell us about your husband and how you guys started dating and just your love story.
Okay. When I was 17, I had just graduated from high school, and my family moved from Maryland, where I grew up, to Richmond, Virginia. And we started to go to church there. I was getting ready to go to college in a little town north of Richmond. And we started to go to church there, and Michael was the song leader there. And I just thought he was really cute. And so I actually had my mother go and scope him out. And she came back and she said, he's way too old for you. Because you remember, I was 17 and he was actually 24. So at that age, that is a big difference. And I probably would have said the same thing had it been my mom and dad, or had it been my daughter. So,
right.
But, through time, we started to date while I was in college, and ultimately in 1990, he asked me to marry him. So we did date for quite a long time. And then we got married in January of 1991. And so that's kind of the beginning of our story. We dated all through. I actually finished college after I was married, but we dated all through that time.
And then where did you live, and what was life like?
Well, we started our life together in Greenville, South Carolina. We moved back to Richmond, Virginia, where we met, and then we moved to Georgia in 1999. And his work pretty much took us all of those places. When we were in Richmond, my first daughter was born. Her name is Lauren. And about 4 months before my second daughter was born, we moved to Georgia. And we've lived in Georgia ever since, so 1999 till now. And so I was a homeschool mom most of my life. I did some side jobs. I taught at it was called Masters Academy of Fine Art. I taught history there for the kids. It's a homeschool school. And as they grew, I just kind of grew with them. And then once my youngest graduated, I was kind of at a crossroads of what do I do now? I haven't really been in the job market, and I was searching, kind of trying to figure that out. I will back up just a little bit. In 2007, my husband actually had a heart attack, and he was only 44 years old. He was out on a run. To look at him, he was the picture of health. So he was out on a run doing a 5K at work, and started to have classic signs of a heart attack. And back then he didn't carry a phone with him. There was none of that really. And the story that we go back to with that was on his way back, he knelt down by a park bench and prayed, and he said to God, I don't know if it's my time to come home yet or not, but I ask you to take care of my girls. And he said at that moment, he actually felt an angel on either side of him stand him up and walk him back to the office.
Wow.
And he got back there, and he said at that point, he knew he was not going to die from that heart attack. It ended up being the widowmaker artery that was 100% clogged.
Wow.
He survived. And so he had that heart attack in 2007. And he was young. He was 44 years old. And, we just celebrated all the time that he survived it. Fast forward to 2014, and he had another heart attack. Oh, wow. And he had been using a rowing machine at the gym. It wasn't quite as severe of a heart attack. He caught it a lot earlier, but he survived that. So 7 years between the first and then the second. And then I don't know if you want to fast forward to when he actually passed away. Sure. But we had just sold a house that we had moved or had lived in for 20 years. We had just bought a new house in a new neighborhood to us, new to us. And that was January of 2021. And in May, he purchased a brand new, they're called reel mowers. I guess they're supposed to make your yard look like a golf course.
Oh, okay.
Grass, I don't know. That day in May, it was May 24th of 2021, I was talking to a friend on the phone, and I saw him go outside. The guy had delivered the mower, and I was on the phone, he went outside to use the mower, and I went outside after I hung up with my friend and was on the deck, and I saw him he had his hands on his thighs and he was kind of hunched over, and he acted like it was like the mower was really hard, and he was a strong guy. He did CrossFit. He's the reason I got into CrossFit. And I did not read that moment as a heart attack. Looking back in hindsight, sometimes you can see things that you wish later that you had noticed as something, but I didn't. And so we talked for just a few seconds, and I said, well, if that mower is hard for you to use, it's going to be really hard for me to use. I usually mowed the grass. And we kind of joked a little bit, and then I went inside, fed the dog, and started cooking dinner. And then I realized that I had not heard the mower. And so I went out on the back deck, and I saw him lying down face up on the ground. And so I ran out the front door. There were no steps on our deck. So I ran out the front door. And as I was running out, our neighbor's son, who was, I think he was 16 or 17 at the time, was coming over to tell me that he had also seen my husband lying on the ground. So bless his heart, young guy, a little traumatic for him. So I ran back and started doing chest compressions and praying. I pretty much knew he was gone. He had baby blue eyes. His eyes were wide open. He was looking up at the sky. And he was very sensitive to light that way. So I pretty much knew, but I started to do chest compressions, and I was crying and screaming. And my neighbor 2 houses up, I guess, heard all that. And he started jumping over fences to come down and to be with us. And in all of that, I'm trying to call, our neighbor had called 911, thankfully, trying to get in touch with my daughters and tell them, we're going to the hospital. And a couple of my other neighbors came around, and I didn't know anybody at this point. We were still pretty new to the neighborhood. And one of the neighbors put her hand on my shoulder and just started praying to God that Michael would be saved. But he wasn't. So we got to the hospital. The whole family arrived at different times because everybody was in different locations. My daughters at that point, my oldest was 26 and married, and my other one was 21. They had all been out working and then going to do different things. So we all arrived, and of course they take you to the room where they share bad news. And they said that they had worked on him. They said for an hour. I don't know how much time had passed. It doesn't seem that it was that long from the time we left the house to then, but he was gone. And that's when the world changed. Yeah. Of course. So we call the years between 2007, when he had his first heart attack, and 2021, which was 14 years, the bonus years. Yeah. And, definitely an answer to the prayers. He had asked the Lord to watch over his girls, and he did. He got to raise them to, 26 and 21.
So tell us what it was like in the beginning, like those first few days, weeks, months. I mean, you had a different kind of death than I had. We were setting, no warning. Like, what was that like?
Shock. I really believe that, I was never diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, but I believe that was definitely a thing. I was terrified that something else was going to happen to my kids. Obviously, I felt very alone. I I had my kids, but obviously, it's not the same as with your husband. My family came in from out of town for the week afterwards. Of course, there's all the overwhelming paperwork and phone calls.
So much.
And, I just remember working my way through that. I would just say, I'm just going to make one call today.
There's so much to do.
Just one call. It was the summer. I had just finished teaching preschool for our church. Yeah. So I didn't have to go back to work at that point. I had a decision to make whether I would even go back there. And I ended up doing it just because it was a good, comfortable, safe place to be. So most of my days really were, I was able to just kind of process. I would get up in the morning. I have a dog. The dog was actually my husband's dream pet. It's just, she's a mutt, but he had always wanted a dog, and we got her name is Coda. We had gotten her in September of 2020 because he was working at home at that point. And I joked with him and I said, well, you can have your dog now, so you can take her out in the rain and the snow and whatever and take care of her, because I was not really a dog person. I'm a cat person. So we had a dog, and it was his dog, but she still needed to be walked and everything. So praise the Lord for that, because she actually got me up out of bed. And it was hot. So I knew I needed to get up and get moving every day and get her on a walk. And while I would walk, I would either listen to worship music. And a little bit about that is, my husband was the worship leader at our church, and he led the Bible classes and he led our life group. So we were very involved, and a lot of the songs that I would listen to reminded me deeply of him, because he led them at our church. But while it was hard to listen to those, they provided a great source of comfort for me. It reminded me who God was and who I was, and that I was not as alone as I thought I was, and how it felt. I, believe it or not, I went back. My daughter and I worked at a CrossFit gym at that time. That was not our own. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but, I went back. He passed away on Monday, the 24th. And the week after that was Memorial Day, and CrossFit gyms around the world have the traditional workout that they do on Memorial Day, which is called Murph. And so that was my first day back in the gym, and I needed to be there. I needed to be there with the people that I was with every day. I needed a space that felt normal and comfortable. I didn't really talk to anybody. I just worked out really, really hard. I've never done Murph that fast in my whole life as that day. But that was kind of my steps to reestablishing a routine, I guess. I could get up, get the dog walked, go to the gym, and I knew that I could do those things and then go home and make the phone call or whatever I needed to do. So it was, I guess I just was trying to settle into something, even though I was devastated and heartbroken.
I think that's so important for our listeners to know, if they're new and they're like, I don't even know what to do. Just establish a routine. I love that. Like for you is the dog and getting to the gym, and then you could do one phone call. Like just those three things are, can be life-changing to be able to move forward, because it's easy to want to just stay in bed and not face anything and all of that stuff. So I like how you started the routine. Now, were your kids living with you at the time?
Well, that's a funny story, Michelle, because one of them was still with us. She's 21, and she was still, she was kind of on the verge of getting ready to maybe move out. My husband had talked to her about, maybe it's time that you start to kind of fly out of the nest and everything. And like I mentioned, we had just bought this house, and my other daughter and her husband had a house, and it was kind of a fixer-upper, needed a ton of work. And so I suggested that they sell that house. It was in 2021 when the housing market was so hot, and anything was selling for a really good price.
Yes, that's when I got my house. Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, why don't you just go ahead and sell that and then come live with me? The house is perfectly set up for all of us to be here for a while. And we really just imagined it would be for about a year. But interestingly, it's almost 4 years in October. They moved in 4 years, and it has been a huge blessing. I know it's not permanent. I am afraid of when everybody leaves and it's just me. It is a scary thought to be, and I kind of play it in my mind. What will it be like when I'm living on my own for real? And I don't like it. But I know it will happen because they're all young adults and they'll do their thing. But it has been such a gift. I've gotten to know my son-in-law in ways that I could have never gotten to know him. He's such a huge blessing, and everybody gets along. We don't fight. My son-in-law likes me.
That's great.
We don't have any arguments, so it's really good.
Other ways did you, like, what else helped you through it? So you got your routine, which I think is super important. Were there like specific friends, family, church, like what else helped you?
Well, I did go back to church. I know a lot of widows will stay home.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, it was challenging because I was always Michael's wife. I did things on my own too. I did serve in my own way, but with him being up front so much, it was a little bit challenging to go back and know my place. And I will tell you that one of the biggest battlegrounds in my mind that I believe Satan was playing with was my trip to church on Sunday mornings. There was a stretch of road every week that all I could think of was, I want to go home. I just want to go home. I just don't want to go there. I just want to go home. And Satan's very crafty. He kind of wants you to think that you don't fit in.
Yeah.
He wants
definitely
you to
feel like that. Yeah.
Yeah. You look at all the couples, you just have the
families,
sense of, the families, and my family, my kids all go there. So that is a good blessing too. But, it was hard not to feel like I didn't fit anymore because I wasn't Michael's wife anymore. And I still wrestle with that. I really have to surrender that. Often I have to remember, in 1 Corinthians, we're told that every believer is an important part of the body. And so it was very important to go. It took me a long time to go to Bible class again. I kind of eased back into that by going and working in the nursery with 2-year-olds at first. And then I was able to go back to the grown-ups. So, now I'm plugged in a little bit more. I do work in the nursery a couple of quarters a year, and then I do go to classes. I do struggle with going to social events. Very much still. And it's been 4 years, but it's
and
it's
church
still
isn't
hard.
really set up for the widows. So that's something I'm working hard to change.
Yeah.
In fact, I was with one of my good widow friends today at the gym, and in the sauna, we were talking about widow education, like how many churches need this education, that we need to do things for widows. And that's why I'm working on my book and my workbook and my leader's guide, because the goal is in a few months, I'm going to have this whole packet to take to every church and to ask you guys to take to churches and be like, hey, I want it to be like the next grief share, but for widows.
Yeah, right.
So that there's like actually something set up, because I feel like church is one of the loneliest places for widows, which that is not what God wants. He talks about widows 103 times. Like, we are like very special to him. And so the widows and the fatherless, like that's us and our kids. And
Yeah.
yet there's so few things. You
Yeah.
guys know I talk about it all the time, but
Yeah.
I hear you on that, and I
Yeah.
see why some people stop going to church. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if it wasn't, my kids were all, in the house young.
Yeah.
Like I wanted them to go to church. So if it wasn't for my kids,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would have gone, but it was like, okay, I want to make sure they grow up in church. We're going to keep
Yeah.
going, but it was super lonely
Mm-hmm.
just sitting there by myself. Or no, at that time I had one in high school, so he would sit with me, but it was still just like, where do I fit in now? And I'm sure a lot of our listeners are like nodding along with us. Like, I feel that, but I want you to know, like, you do fit in. Like, God loves you so much. Don't let those lies of the enemy as you're driving to church stop you from being there, because you're supposed to be there. And know that God loves you so much, and the people love you. They just don't know what to do with you. Like
Exactly.
I talk about, listen to people's hearts, not their words. Like, they love you. There's just so little grief education in the world that they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And that's,
And
I used to get angry about it, but now I'm just like, they don't know. Like,
they
now
don't
my
know.
job
I
is to
didn't
educate
know.
people, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Like,
I mean, there are a lot of widows at our church, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I was friendly with them, but I didn't know. You just
didn't know
don't
what
know.
to say, not to say, all the
and
things.
we do have a lot of widows at our church, young and old. Well, I'm probably the youngest widow, but still, it's a lot. And the women's ministry, they have a ladies Bible class once a week in the mornings, and they did invite me last May to come and talk to them about this process.
That's good.
It was really good, and they were very grateful to hear just things that you wish you knew before you were a widow, and things that you needed to do after, and just how you feel through the process. So they were very open to hearing that, and I greatly appreciated that.
I'm so glad they were able to do that. Yeah. We need more of that. I mean, and the fact that they wanted that, that's great. Like yeah, most people don't know what to do, but let's go back to your story.
Sure.
Kind of sidetracked on this whole church issue that gets me like really, really fired up. So anyways, go ahead.
You asked me about groups and things too.
Yeah.
And there was, where I met Angela was through a group called Never Alone Widows.
Right. They're very big out there.
And I don't think I went to a conference for them the first, like the second year. I think it was almost 2 years after Michael passed, but I went to their conference, but I don't know that I met her till later when we started this book club.
Okay.
So,
that's awesome.
So I did that. We would meet every month with that group. I'm trying to think if there were other things besides really the gym, the church, and the Never Alone group are probably the three things that really helped me survive.
That's great. And how did you walk through this process with your girls? Like, what was that like, and what is it currently like?
They process things very differently. My younger one has always been very open to counseling, and she has a counselor named Laura, and she actually says everybody needs a Laura. So she has really processed this with her mostly. We still talk about Michael a lot.
I love that.
Each year when it's the anniversary of his death and his birthday, we'll do something to commemorate him. Early on, I felt like they were afraid to really share their grief with me because they didn't want it to be hard on me.
Right.
And I had kind of a revelation about that. And, I told them, I'm like, this is as much your grief as mine, and feel free to share whatever you need to share. Now, my oldest daughter, she's married, and I fully, she shares more with her husband than with me, I'm sure. There have been, there have been times where we'll all cry. Like I said, we usually go out of town for his death anniversary, and just talk about that. I think Lauren, my older one, and this showed up with the first heart attack. When my husband had his first heart attack, my youngest was 7, and she followed me around asking tons and tons of questions. That's the way she processes. And my other one went upstairs to her room and shut the door. And that's just who they are. They process things so differently. And it takes a while to really talk sometimes to the older one the same as the younger one. They just process differently.
Yes.
And it's okay.
My kids are all so different too. But I think what's important is that you made it a safe space to talk about him. That's something I like to share with widows, is make sure your kids know that they can talk about their dad or their mom anytime. You know, that it's going to be good for them to do that. And, you know, we would talk about, now it's a little less now, it's been 5 years and I'm married again, but we still talk about him, and not like in the beginning, it was like, oh, your dad would love this, you know, and made it we still do that sometimes. What do you think your dad would think about this? Like, you know, and so creating that safe space is so important, so our kids know they can talk about them no matter if they're little kids or grown adults, like just giving them the space to do that. So I love that you have done that. And so I want to talk now about how you ended up owning a CrossFit gym. Tell us about that. That's amazing.
Well, yeah, it is amazing. It's not something I ever saw coming, honestly. So again, I mentioned that my daughter and I went to a CrossFit gym. Yeah. My husband actually discovered CrossFit for our family.
Okay.
After his first heart attack. It was his way of proving that his body still worked and he could trust it. And so he went and did CrossFit workouts in the work gym, so not at a CrossFit gym. But he would come home and talk about these workouts and kind of go on and on about them, and I'd roll my eyes. I'm like, why are you doing something so hard? You know, why are you always in pain? It's always hard for you to get up the stairs. Fast forward a little bit, Lauren, my older daughter, decided she wanted to try out CrossFit. And so she joined a local gym in, I think it was 2015, immediately went and took the CrossFit Level 1 course just because she wanted to, not because she thought she would ever coach. But ultimately, she ended up coaching at that gym and being the head coach eventually. And a couple of years later, I went to that gym because she was there. And I had been working out at my house with the DVDs for years and years. And I was homeschooling my kids. So I went once and I was hooked and I loved it. And I have been doing CrossFit now since 2017.
Wow.
So fast forward, 2020 hits. The gym owner is getting very tired of the gym, just the business of the gym. I think he was burned out. 2020 is very hard on gym owners. Yeah. And you know, I think he worked really hard or tried to kind of come back to loving it again. But kind of through 2021, we could sense that his heart wasn't really in it anymore. And so Lauren mentioned to him, you know, if you ever think that you're going to get rid of the gym, please come to us and ask us if we are interested in taking it over before you sell it to somebody else. And so he did. I think she said he talked to her first, maybe in December of 2021, which is, my husband passed in May that year. But then in April of 2022, he was serious about wanting to not own the business anymore. And so we prayed about it. I had a lot of fear wrapped up in it because you're taking a lease for a business. I was still feeling like I might have some widow fog going on, and not sure that making a big decision like that was in my best interest. I prayed, we both prayed. We got a lot of counsel from people about it. And ultimately, it came down to a couple of things. One was, what would we would never know if we could do it if we didn't do it.
Right.
And really the only way to find out was to just do it. And secondly, CrossFit gyms are notorious for the community that they build, and the people there, we love them, and we loved them then, and a lot of people have come and gone through the years, but we love them now. And we kept thinking of the people and where they would go, and they'd come so far in their health journey, and really we believe that fitness is, we call it healthcare. We say fitness is healthcare. The hospital is sick care. And it will be the thing that can give you the best quality of life long term. We all have our designated days from the Lord. He knows when we're going to start and we're going to finish this earthly life. But we can live our best life to the best of our ability.
Yes.
And take care of our bodies. And so that is kind of the mission that we have, is really being a safe community where people can live and build a healthy, strong body to live now, no matter how long they have left on this earth. And we came up with the name, it's CrossFit Dwell, DWELL, because God talks so much about dwelling with him and him dwelling with us. And I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And so we just knew that we could use this place kind of as a ministry business. I mean, it's a business. We want to make money.
Right.
But we also see it as being the hands and feet of Jesus in our community. And again, helping people live the healthiest life that they can. And so it was scary. It has been scary. It's not easy owning a business.
Oh, I'm sure.
But I have watched this is my older daughter, Lauren. I have watched her grow so much in the 3 years since we took over that gym. And that has been like the cherry on top, to be honest. And then all of the other things that we mentioned already, the wins that people have from being able to play with their grandkids, or get out and play with their kids again. It just really is. That's what lights our fire, being able to help people live a good life while they're here on this earth.
Yeah. And I just did CrossFit for like maybe 1 month, but what I noticed about it was a really big community. Like they all knew each other, and like, it was really cool.
Yeah.
That's what I see. And then I've known other people who've been really into CrossFit, and they have all these CrossFit friends, and it seems like a really great place to come together. And do you feel like owning the gym has given you a sense of purpose, like after
Absolutely.
Michael?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. Becoming a businesswoman, learning how to, it's like so overwhelming when we're first widowed, but then we learn how to do these things, and we're like, I can do this. Like, I don't have to have a man for this. Like,
exactly.
I know that feeling of like, cause I went from like never paying bills to like figuring out how to sell my house, buy a house, like all the things. And it's pretty empowering when you're like, okay, I can do this. I can do this.
Yeah. I don't want to do it by myself.
I don't necessarily want to, but I can. And so that's super exciting. I think your story is very inspiring to everyone listening, that if they have something, that a dream they've been wanting to do, like take the leap and do it. I mean, get counsel like you did, pray about it, seek direction. But it can be something that can give you a new purpose. Like I completely changed careers after Luke died. Like never thought I'd be like, I don't know what my official title is, a widow influencer, but basically, running a nonprofit and all this stuff that I never thought I would do. Like it's okay to change careers. Like our whole life is completely changed. We don't have to stay in the same career. Like we can do other things. And what an amazing, empowering thing that you do, because you're helping other people get healthy and providing this space for them to do that. I love that. And to do it with your daughter. That's amazing.
Yeah. My other daughter's she's not so interested in CrossFit, and that's okay. She has her interests and things that she loves to do, and she's thriving too. But it is definitely not something I would have ever seen myself doing prior. Right. But everybody says, Michael's cheering you on, or he'd be so proud of you too. And
I was gonna say, I feel like he'd be very proud of you for. He is like speaking current, because they're in heaven, they're alive in heaven. So he is currently like proud of what you're doing, and I think it's so beautiful. It's so interesting because I meet so many widows, and there's such a difference. Not usually the ones I interview are in a good place, but I see it online. There's the ones that are just like stuck in this place. And the biggest difference, there's two big things. They don't have Jesus, is usually the biggest thing. And then the second biggest thing is they haven't spent time working through their grief. So did you go to counseling, or
I did not go to
it? Because pretty good.
Great question. I did not go to counseling, and I did not do grief share. However, I did go through a widows coaching group.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, it's a group. She's another podcast. She's actually the first podcaster I listened to.
Is that when I was Jen?
It's no, now her mind.
I'm gonna forget her name.
Widowed Mom podcast.
Yeah. I get Krista.
Yes, Krista. Thank you.
I'm like, I've seen her advertisements. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
So she was the first one. I'm a big podcast listener, and so I looked up, a podcast, and hers was the first one that came up. So I listened to her, and the life coaching method just made sense to me. And I actually started it. He passed in May, and I actually started that in August or September that year. I think it might have been a little too early, because I feel like I could do it now and benefit a lot. But it was still very helpful. I didn't do all the work.
Right.
It was a lot to do in my mind, but I absorbed a lot from it. And I think it helped me reframe. I knew that I did not want to waste this grief, and I didn't want to get stuck. And I knew he would not want me to get stuck in it. I was determined to find a way to live a good life again. I was shattered. Obviously, we were always shattered. I was totally devastated. I felt, the words that come to mind to me about those early days was untethered and very vulnerable, and just so many things that you feel in those early days. But I was so determined to fight out of that. I was seeking, like I said, I listened to worship music to kind of remind me of who God was and who I was. The coaching was very good. And then of course the widow groups that are here in town were very good.
Were there any specific songs or verses that helped you?
There are a couple of songs. One of them is Still. I don't even know who wrote it, but the chorus of it is, when the oceans rise and thunders roar, I will soar with you above the storm. Father, you are king over the flood. I will be still and know that you are God. So that was definitely one. In Christ Alone, which is interesting because I did not love that song when my husband was alive. He loved it. It was one of his favorite to lead. But I was kind of on the edge, but that actually became one of my favorites after he died. And then more recently, things like Living Hope. I will always, when I start to get in my head, I will always turn on the Spotify playlist for a group called the Zoe Group, which is an a cappella group. Our church does a cappella worship. And worship music is where I can dig out of myself, and turn my focus outward. And then as far as Bible verses, 1 Thessalonians 4:13 and 8 through 18, where they talk about, we do not want you to be uninformed, brothers, about those who are asleep, that you may not grieve as others do who have no hope. And it goes on and talks about, we're all going to be together, and we all have the hope. If you are in Jesus, you don't have to grieve the way people who don't have Jesus grieve.
That's right.
And one of the things that I was actually doing for just a little bit before Michael died, I just wanted to see who God said he was in the Bible. And so I was already, every time I read through the Bible chronologically pretty much every year. But that year before he died, I started to pick up just things that I saw about God, and I would post them on my Facebook page with the verse, but then I would post like a specific thing about God that I saw. And I believe, and I still did that after he died, and I believe that was so instrumental in just bringing me to where I am now, and it still is.
That's so healing and good.
It is. It's just, that's just where when I just remember, I don't know if you read the book, The Purpose Driven Life by
Yes.
Rick Warren. And the first line is, it's not about you.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about me. And none of this is about me. It's how we can bring glory to God in all of this.
That's right.
So.
It's so important to remember. Yeah. What do you think has been the most challenging thing about being widowed?
Oh, well, I mentioned that little lie, the lies that Satan would tell me. So that was definitely probably the most challenging. But beyond that, I mentioned feeling vulnerable, feeling like I'm out here untethered, that there's not that person who really knows and cares about me the way my husband did. Of course, God does. But I'll say, and I'm not going to say, but of course God does. And he also said it's not good for man to be alone. So he knows that it just being married 30 years. And we were friends. We didn't have a perfect marriage. We had struggles just like everybody else does. I say everybody else, maybe not everybody does, but we had struggles. We had some valleys. Yeah. But he protected me. He liked me. He made me laugh. He laughed at me. We went out to dinner. We went on walks, and we just talked about nothing and everything.
Yeah.
And when you don't have that anymore, you're kind of like, nobody cares.
Yeah.
And you have kids. I have my kids, but it's not the same. And so that was, and it's still very hard that way. And, I don't want to be a burden to people. So it's hard to ask for help for things like technology, car stuff, all the things that he was really good at.
Yeah.
It's hard. That's hard.
So what are your thoughts on dating again?
I haven't dated. I am not actively looking to date, but I'm not opposed to it. I feel like if that is something the Lord wants to put in my life, he will.
He will. That's right.
He'll put it there. I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not, my business right now is taking up most of my time. So I don't even really have, I wake up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym, you know? And then I need to go to bed pretty early for that. So, I'm not actively looking to date, but if the Lord put a godly man in my life, I would, I'd be open to what he has for me.
I think
I'm
that's
not
a great
opposed.
place to be.
Yeah. And I celebrate. I have so many widow friends who have gotten married, and I'm so thrilled for them. I just think that's awesome. But that's just not where I am right now.
Yeah. I think that's a great place when you're like content with where you're at, that you're like, I'm open. If it happens, but I'm not looking.
Yeah.
I think that's an amazing place to be. So now I want to talk about, you're doing something really unique, which of course I was totally excited to hear. I first heard about this from Angela, that you are taking my book, Widow Goals, Steps to Finding Peace When You Lose Your Spouse, and turning it into a book club. So tell us about how you did that and what you guys are doing. And I'm just like, you're the first people ever to do a book club with my book. So I'm super interested.
Well, so one of the things I lost the ability to do when I became a widow was read. I could not focus on a book.
I've heard that.
I could not. And there was a book that I wanted to read called Beyond the Darkness by Clarissa Mole. And that was back in 23. Yeah, that summer. And I wanted to read it for about a year, and I just never did. And so I invited some women from the Never Alone group here in town to see if they would be interested in reading one chapter a week and then hopping on a Zoom call one night a week for an hour and talking about that chapter. And I figured one chapter a week was very manageable.
Yeah.
I could do one chapter. So we started that in the summer of 2023, and we've gone through, several books, a lot of books since then. And it's been ongoing. Angela joined us, I think, in 24. And of course, I knew about you because of her, and I'd been listening to your podcasts and learned about your book. And was actually on the advanced reading.
Yes, you were.
Committee. So I knew it was a good book. And so we always talk about, well, what book is next? And I heard from a couple of people, well, I think this Widow Girls would be the good one to do. So we decided to do it. And this Monday, this week, was our first one. And we were supposed to get through Widow Goals, or Goals 1, 2, and 3. We read all 3 of them, but we got through 1. So it's going to be a long journey, I think.
So are you just discussing them? Like, what do you do? So they come with that read, and then you just talk about it. So it was get out of bed. So you had a lot of discussions about that.
Yeah. It's, yes. So we did discuss the chapter. Basically, we go through and talk about anything that jumped out at us about the book.
They might have highlighted.
Yeah. And we had 9 or 10 on the call on Monday night.
I would love to hear some of this sometimes.
You should just come on the call with us sometime.
Do it. Like, I would love to it's such good feedback for me.
Yeah.
Hear, like, I don't want them to hold back because I'm there. Like, I want to hear, like, what is the most interesting to people? What is not? And because I'm kind of doing the same thing, but I'm using the workbook. And so I want to do a 12 weeks. So 12 weeks, 3 a week. Plus we're going to some like solo parenting. I don't think we're going to do because some people aren't parents. Dating again, we're not going to do because some people don't want to date. Like, I'm going to take out some of the optional ones.
Yes.
So I'm really like, this is such an interesting idea to me. And I'm also curious, like, because you just normally do a book, did you just choose to stay with the book instead of adding the workbook? Because that is more.
Mhm.
It's like more
Yes.
because there's already questions in the
Yes.
book. So you don't have to do
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
I'm just taking people through it who have already read the book who want to go deeper.
Right.
You know,
We have some very we just wanted to, well, first of all, we didn't know the workbook was coming out initially until we'd already said the book. But and a couple women have gotten the book. The workbook. Robin, who you interviewed a couple of weeks ago, she's in the group, and she has the workbook, and one other woman has the workbook, and so there will be
they can go deeper if they want to.
Yeah, they can. Yeah. So we discussed the chapter, and then we did go through some of the questions in the back of that at the end of that chapter, and talk about those together, and we really filled up the whole hour.
That's so amazing. Do you know how crazy it is when you write a book and then you hear that people are all talking about it that you don't know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it's so weird.
One of the women, and she's been a widow for a few years, but she said that she cried through a lot of that chapter, that one goal. And so you've made an impact. She didn't say a whole lot in that discussion, but I know that she was deeply moved by it. So you can know that it is impacting people for sure.
Yeah, well, I'd love to come on sometime. That would be amazing, definitely, just to hear people discussing it. And this is also a great idea if other people want to do it. And I think I told you this too later. I might not even have told you. I can't remember. Like, anytime someone's doing a book club, come to me directly. I can get you a discount. Like,
okay. Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
But you are probably doing with people that live all over, so it might not work. It's more like if people are doing it in person and they want to get a bulk, I can have everything sent to them at a discount.
Yes.
But I guess if you're just connecting with widows all over, it might not work. But
we do. We have somebody in Connecticut. We have somebody in North Carolina, South Carolina, Kentucky. So
would you do me a favor too? Would you
Yes.
highly encourage them to leave a review when they're done?
Okay.
That would really, really help.
Yeah, absolutely.
To get more reviews on the book and everything. But I think that's so cool that
it has been such a safe space for women.
That.
It really has. I did not go, I really went into it with selfish reasons of, I want to read this book and I can't make myself do it with the first book.
Yeah, it's great.
But it has really grown to be a very safe spot for these women to they come in their pajamas. They come, they just got out of the shower. There was whatever, they're in just their home and eating dinner, however they come. And they are just very real and vulnerable every Monday night.
Awesome. Is it the same, like through every book, the same people?
No, different people will come and go.
Yeah.
They'll come depending on what's going on in their life. They might even not be there every week of a particular book. They travel or whatever, but they just come when they can. And then, every time I do a new book, I'll put it out there so other people can join. And generally we end up, when it all settles out, the first week we'll have a lot, and then we'll settle into maybe 5 or 6 a week, and it'll be different ones that kind of come in.
Yeah.
And it's really just, sometimes I think, I don't know if I can do this, how long I can do this. But then I get off of a call, I'm like, I can do this forever. I love it. So
I know.
The women are just precious to me. And it's a gift to me.
And when we give to other people, it's so healing to ourselves. That's why I started all this. I mean, it helped other people, but it really helped me. I was this baby widow less than a year when I started doing all of this. And it's like, it totally helps you to help others. So what a beautiful, beautiful thing that you have done. That's awesome. Wow. So what advice would you give to a brand new widow?
Well, I did cheat and make a little list because
there's a lot.
Yeah, there are a lot of things. First, have hope. Because right now, if you're a brand new baby widow, you may feel hopeless. But the Lord is with you. He promises to take care of the widow. He has a heart for you. He, there's so much hope, plus the hope of forever.
Right.
This is not it. This is not everything. Like I mentioned before, exercise, walk,
Yes.
move your body, be intentional about that. It's good for you physically, emotionally, mentally, all of that. Pray, worship, connect with God through scripture. Like I was mentioning about seeking who God was in scripture, that was very helpful. So, may not be able to do that right away, but if you can move in that direction, just take baby steps. Eat regularly. And as a fitness instructor, I'm going to tell you to eat whole food.
Yes.
I'm not a nutrition coach, but I know that is where those foods are going to nourish you. And as a new widow, you get a lot of casseroles and
Yes,
stuff that's not necessarily really good for you.
That's
But
true.
as soon as you can, try and get to real whole foods again.
Yeah.
And then give yourself grace. So when on those days where you don't do anything but cry, give yourself grace. It's okay. You can cry. It's okay. And then give grace to others, because as you mentioned, people don't know. They just don't know. They just don't know. They don't know how to help. They don't know what to say. They may be clumsy. They're going to say things that may feel hurtful, but they don't mean to be hurtful generally. Right. Most people come from a good place. And then connect with other widows, listen to podcasts, church family, seek out people to connect with.
Right.
And then ask for help. Yeah.
Those are great. That's the longest list anyone's ever said, and it's so good. They're all like amazing points. Thank you for sharing those.
Yeah, that's just
so good. Well, I would love to close us today in praying for you. Would that be okay?
That would be awesome. Thank you, Michelle.
Dear God, thank you so much for Natalie and her willing heart to be here and share her story and share about Michael. And I just thank you that his legacy lives on through Natalie and her girls. And just thank you for this gym that she owns. I pray blessings over her gym, all the people she interacts with. Thank you that she's creating a safe space for people to get healthy. Just thank you for opportunity to work with her daughter. I just pray financial blessings over it and just all the things. And we just thank you for this book club that she's running. I just pray over all the women in that you will give them peace as they go through the book. And just thank you for all the listeners today. I just pray that you give them peace and joy, and that they find you today, that you keep seeking them and they keep finding you in little ways. They feel you in nature. They get a call from a friend, that they will know that they were loved, and to ignore the lies of the enemy, that they don't belong in church and all those things. And we just thank you for all you've done. Amen.
Amen.
Well, if you like this podcast, give it a little bing, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you listen. And let's see what else. Join the Widow Too Soon community page. We have the smaller one that you can only get to through me. So it's in the show notes. It's only like 80 people. If you're like, I don't like the big community with 13,300 people, then just be part of the little one. Because that one nobody can find unless they actually listen to the podcast. The retreat information is all in the show notes if you want to go check that out. Of course, Widow Goals, the book, is in the show notes that we were just talking about. Definitely check that out and all the things. So thank you, Natalie, for being here. Really appreciate your story. It's very inspiring. I just love it. So thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
All right. Well, we will see you all next time. Bye.